Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this episode of the Nathan Graves Show with me, your host, Nathan Graves. And for the past couple years of this podcast, I've just been interviewing people. But this episode, I decided to try something a little bit different. After some time brainstorming, I wanted to try to make the show a little bit different, still have the interviews, but also have some other stuff to go along with it, and it just came to this currently unnamed uh side topic, side project, whatever you want to call it. And basically what I do every now and then, I'm just going to sit down with a friend or two and just discuss different things. And this week I have with me my friend Zach, and
Hi.
we're going to be talking about a recent obsession of mine that isn't Fire Emblem, One Piece.
Oh, I thought I was gonna interview you. Thought we were gonna, turn this
Oh,
tables.
do you want to interview me about One Piece?
What's your favorite color?
Brooke. Wait, fuck.
Oh, oh shit. Here, let's start again. Hi, this is the Nathan Graves Show. I'm Nathan. Oh, fuck. Oh, no. Can we start off the with the most important fact about One
What's that,
Piece?
Zach?
That the manga is amazing and that the anime is intermittently good but mostly crap.
Okay, this is interesting because like you've said this a lot whenever we're on Skype. You always say like the manga is so much better and the anime is shit. Explain how explain exactly why you feel like the anime is inferior compared to the manga.
Well, as somebody who dislikes colors all the time, not well, the manga is its truest and purest form, so it is perfect. No, the anime has really bad pacing after a certain part because they decide they want to stop doing, how anime goes into filler to kind of keep it
Yeah.
going, so the manga can get ahead, and so they don't get too close to the source material. Well, the anime decided they didn't want to do that because you get less viewers whenever you do filler. So they just instead decided to kill the pacing of the show. So currently, where they are in the anime is in the same arc that the manga is, but they're doing like half a manga chapter an episode, and that's god awful pacing. That's like fucking, oh, excuse my language, 10 pages of manga chapter. That's like a 10-page comic turned into a like 20-minute episode, and the pacing's just awful, and it's so depressing because they get good voice actors in both the American or Funimation and the original Japanese, whatever. The music's really great, and the animation's not terrible always, but there are like some real quality moments, if you know what I mean. Which is there's a lot more quality moments than there really should be. But the animation's not terrible, but it's just the pacing. It's just makes it really hard to watch.
Like when does this even happen? Because like I just ended Skypiea and
Well, the first like arc, like East
Mhm.
Blue, it's pretty slow, but that's more of like trying to. It's the beginning of the show. The beginning show's kind of slow, and it really picks up in like Alabasta, like Baroque works up into Alabasta, and Alabasta just slows down a little bit. Um, it's kind of intermittent throughout the show, but I would say like up until like Thriller Bark is the show like completely watchable. Like there's no bits where I would say, yeah, this is like really hard to watch. But then Thriller Bark starts to get really hard to watch. But it's you can still bear through it. But then you hit like the freaking like 70 through the end of pre-time skip, and it's just really bad to watch. They also kill like some of the most spectacular moments with bad pacing. Looking at you, White Bear. And it's just never recovered. They made Fishman Island one of the worst arcs. I would say maybe like the oh geez, I want to say second worst arc, but it's the worst arc. The worst arc of the entirety of One Piece is now the longest arc in the anime.
Which surprises me because like Alabasta was really freaking long.
Oh yeah, Alabasta like Alabasta by itself isn't as long as like Skype, like the time they were in Skypiea, I believe. Like they spent like 40 episodes, or maybe actually I think they spent about 40 episodes in Skypiea and 40 episodes in Alabasta. So Probably about the same, actually.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I think so.
It's just if Alabasta felt a lot longer than Skypiea, at least personally.
Well, that's just like Alabasta by itself. Like there was all the
Oh
build
yeah,
up
yeah, yeah.
to Alabasta. Like that's just like Skypiea by itself, like disregarding Jaya and stuff like that. But Fishman Island, I think, is like 50 episodes by itself, like just Fishman Island.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of gross.
And
I mean, these aren't exact numbers; these are also just
like,
like pulling from my
right.
brain.
And didn't you say like the main villain of Fishman Island was like the worst thing ever?
Oh, garbage, worst villain in the entirety of One Piece, which is a shame because there is a side villain in Fishman Island who's actually really good, and the arc could have been really fun if it was about him. It's it's not even like entirely the villain's fault. Like it's a bad
Hmm.
villain, but it's the fact that he became as tenacious as he did. Like Oda did not want to put him down. Like he kept getting defeated, and then he would like, "Hey, I'm getting back up, and we're gonna fight more." Just so it's the first major arc after the time
Right.
skip. So it's like he wanted to have something big, but didn't want to pull out the big guns. So it was like this arc should have been a stomping ground, which it was, with the exception of the main villain, who wanted to act like a main villain. And, they had big anime fights about it. And the anime makes it even worse.
The way that I got into One Piece was because of you, and I still blame you to this day. I say that I blame you.
Oh,
I
that's
say that I
great.
blame you because I want to spend all the money I don't have on just buying like One Piece stuff.
Well, yeah, that's what you do. I say, looking at the Frankie figure on my desk that I didn't pay for. Thank you, George.
Did you pay for the Sunny that you have in your desk?
I got it for as a birthday
Okay,
present.
but anyway, how when and how did you get into One Piece?
Um, well, I had a friend back in high school who he's a big like anime jerk. Like he watched like all the like frickin' girly animes and popular anime. So we watched all like your Naruto's and your Bleaches and those like things, the things that would come on in
Yeah.
America. And he had always been trying to convince me to watch those things. He convinced me to watch Naruto. I watched like the first arc, decided it wasn't for me. I watched the first arc of Bleach, decided it wasn't for me, but I hear that it gets better afterwards, then gets terrible, and then gets terrible, then gets better, then gets terrible again. And so I've decided to avoid that one entirely. Um, and then One Piece I also gave a shot, and I watched like the first 50 episodes of it, and then put it down. Granted, this was the 4 Kids dub. Like I was watching it like on TV and like American
Hmm.
TV, and I was like, this is pretty good, but it's not doing it for me. Whatever, I'm just gonna put it down. And I had stopped like right as they were going up. Like I think I stopped. I either stopped right as they were going up Reverse Mountain, which is the end of East Blue, or right as they get to Logtown, which is the end of East Blue. And then just one day I was like freaking bored, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give One Piece a shot. Because my friend had recently been telling me about something that had happened in the anime, um, which was the character Brooke appearing, and I'm like, oh my god, a skeleton musician with an afro? That sounds zany enough to make me give it a shot. And then I did, and then um, I recently spent $80 on the manga,
Wow.
so. It was a deal though because it was supposed to be at like $120, so I saved some cash and got like 23 volumes of the manga.
Where did you get all those volumes of the manga?
Amazon, mostly, but Funimation, or I don't think it's Funimation's website, but there's a website called like writestuff.com, and I'll give you a link or
Hmm.
whatever. They have pretty good deals on the One Piece mangas. Like from what I've seen, it's the best place to get it unless you can find some kind of like bundle deal like I did with the it was a box set and it was like $110 and it was cheaper on Amazon than it was on Right Stuff, and I had a $30 gift card to Amazon that I had gotten for Christmas, so
So you just
it was
splurged
cheap.
it all on manga?
Oh yeah, I want all the manga, so I got to do it. Or excuse me, mango, as the Japanese rightfully pronounce it.
Gotta read all of the mangoes.
Oh yeah, and there's actually a new one that I'm I'm avoiding reading right now because I'm talking to you about One Piece and not just reading you the current manga because you are you've just finished
Yeah,
Skypiea
I'm like,
and not in Dressrosa, or however you pronounce it.
yeah, I'm only 9 years behind at this point of the anime.
I think it's a little bit more than 9
No, I
actually.
checked the yeah,
Oh, did you?
I was just making sure because
Oh,
I knew
okay.
I was 10 years behind when I was still watching Skypiea.
Okay, because oh, actually, wait, when the hell do they do that? I think that's near the end of Skypiea when they show um Doflamingo's. Oh no, wait, they showed Doflamingo earlier. Never mind. There's a scene where they show Doflamingo after Skypiea, but I think they show him a bit before with a.
Yeah, yeah, I remember seeing Doflamingo like way before Skypiea.
Yeah, because they show Doflamingo in a part with the Marines, and that's where he's introduced, I believe, not the bit after. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And he doesn't like do shit until like recently. Isn't that right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Like the current arc that we're in, he is like the main bad guy, and he actually has the record for devil fruit that went the longest without being named, and it's like I think it's like 10 years, like the 10 years in between his fruit being showed off the first time and its naming.
That's fucking insane.
uh, Excuse you,
It's
language.
my podcast.
We're trying to run a quality Oh yeah. So what do you want to talk about One Piece besides the fact that the anime sucks and the manga is pure Nippon brilliance?
Well, actually, I just wanted to talk about One Piece itself because at first I didn't get it, but I think it's just because of Oda's art style, and I was one of those people who shut down the anime because of how it looked. And I am actually really glad that I decided to actually watch One Piece because it's really freaking good. I like it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for fucking badgering me on it.
It's no problem. I'll badger you all you want. There's this great show called Basquatch we're going to need to watch sometime.
No.
Uh, Uh, the art style is actually really interesting because that's one of the things I like, that it doesn't really look too much like a standard anime. Like I always enjoy that because I see standard anime and I'm like, oh, what's this garbage? Just because like everything has that kind of, you know, cookie cutter style. Like it's not fair to say anime style because there's so many like varying styles between like all the friggin' animes that are out there. But there's a standard like, oh, that's anime, and then there's like, oh man, like there's stuff like JoJo's or One Piece that don't look entirely like anime. Like granted, One Piece has become more anime over the years. Like if you like compare like chapter one stuff to like modern
Mhm.
stuff, things have definitely become more anime in proportions. But Oda still has his own like, unique style. Like, like girls that look like Gumby characters, and main villains that are humans, but they're shaped like giant onions and are for some reason 26 feet tall, even though they are a human and they have pale white skin and horns, but they're still human, not a subrace or anything.
Now, do favorites. Favorite favorite Straw Hat
Frankie, hands down.
reasons.
He's amazing. I don't know. Frankie's just like he's just so like even in a show. Like I still call it a show, even though I predominantly read the manga. I don't know, it's habit. Even in like a thing like One Piece, Frankie is out there. Like all these characters are weird. Even like the most serious of characters have some kind of like little thing that makes them different. But then Frankie's just out there for even by One Piece standards, and his like origin's amazing. Like he's a cyborg, and prior to this, you had no idea that technology like this could exist in One Piece. Then all of a sudden, he's firing off lasers, and he's like, "Oh, I'm powered by soda. Oh, look, I have a fucking chain fist. Oh, I have guns inside of me." He's just ridiculous. Also, he's a cyborg who built himself, except for his back. His back is his weak point because he couldn't reach his back because he built himself.
Was his back always his weak point, or was it just after the time skip?
It's he was a cyborg before the time skip. He's just after the time skip, he becomes
More cyber.
more super. He becomes more super robo and less cyborg.
Okay. Favorite villain.
Favorite villain. How did you I don't know. That's really interesting because there's characters I like that are antagonists, but they're not so much villains. Like I really like the Admiral Kizaru, but he's not so much a bad guy as he is on the Marine side. His real name's also Borsalino, which is amazing. I'm trying to think. I really like Gecko Moria, and it has nothing to do with that. I can do a pretty good impression. Uh, just because I do really like Thriller Bark. It's the first arc that whenever I caught up to reading the manga, it was the arc that I caught up to, and I've just always had a soft spot for Thriller Bark. It's like kind of like after just this insane like super shonen arc like CP9
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Thriller Bark's like kind of like a nice. It's not so much relaxing, but it's kind of like this weird, just kind of fun arc. So I've always enjoyed it. So I really like Gecko Moria, and I actually have like a Gecko Moria figure thingy that one of my friends
I know,
gave me,
I saw it.
and a phone strap that my friend gave me that I have no clue how to attach to my phone. Technology, you know. I'm a majoring in software engineering. Can't figure that
Awesome.
out. It's how it goes.
Well, with that, you already answered your favorite arc. Thriller Bark.
Yeah, pretty much. I really like Thriller Bark. It's really fun.
All right. Opposite. Least favorite Straw Hat.
Least favorite, it's very easy to say Nami, just because she hits her high point early on and then just kind of falls into kind of like, oh, she's an angry woman
Mm-hmm.
gag. But I apparently have a soft spot for greedy women that I recently learned. Uh, so I don't know. Like, it's really easy to dislike Nami, just because early on she doesn't do much, and then she just gets all this character development, and then it goes nowhere. And then there's a point in Fishman Island where it could become relevant again, and she just kind of shoots it down. And to be honest, it's kind of better that she shot it down because it showed that she had grown as a character. Um, so honestly, I think for the majority of One Piece, it's easy. I would say like for pre-time skip, I'd say Nami's my least favorite, but post-time skip, I would say Sanji's my least favorite, which is a shame because Sanji's really, really cool. It's just post time skip. He's been the worst. Like he lost like every inkling of his character aside from the fact that he's a Brock. So like everything with Sanji boils down to, oh hey, that lady's attractive, heart in my eye, and that's all he does. Which is kind of a shame because I miss Sanji being like the cool guy like he was back in Alabasta, like with Mr. Prince and junk like
Right.
that. So yeah, I'd say pre-time skip Nami, post-time skip Sanji, which is a shame.
Least favorite villain aside from Hardy Jones.
Um, well, I can't say Don Cree because he's the strongest, fiercest, and most evil pirate in all of East Blue. Um, let's think. Arlong's terrible. I don't. Yeah, I really don't know. Hody Jones, Don Krieg. Uh, man, the friggin' those two, I guess. Yeah. Unless filler villains count.
Sure, why not?
Oh, then I don't remember. I don't freaking remember any filler villains. Aside from like the people of G8, because G8's actually a really good filler arc.
Which one's G8?
It's the arc that follows Skypiea, and it involves like what happens when they land back in the Blue Sea after leaving
Okay,
Skypiea.
I'm at that then, because I literally finished the last episode of Skypiea.
Okay, so that is a filler arc. And it being filler arc, people might say, okay, I'm going to skip it. But it's actually really, really good. And if you're going to watch the anime, you probably want to watch it because they move around some things that happen in the next arc to kind of take place in this arc in terms of like character
Mm-hmm.
development and plot building. And it makes a bit more sense the way they do it. And it's actually really, really good. And it's not too long of an arc. I think it's like maybe like 10 episodes max. But it's really good. You get a lot of character development. And as far as I can tell, like I have nothing to confirm this, but it's become kind of like semi-canon. There's a vice admiral who is the like main antagonist, sort of main antagonist. There's a person who's more of an antagonist in
Mm-hmm.
that arc, but whatever. Who shows up in that arc, and He's shown up in two other things, I believe, but they're also non-canon, but they're directed by Oda. The movie, or I don't think he shows up in Strong World. That's a lie. I'm so sorry. He shows up in Z, and I think he shows up somewhere else. But those are both non-canon to my knowledge. Some people might argue otherwise, because at one point Strong World was considered canon, but I think has since been kicked to. They're not non-canon in terms of like, oh, this has happened in the anime, but not doesn't happen in the manga, but more of, I think Oda calls them what if stories. Like if you've ever read like the what if
Okay, yeah.
comics, yeah, like this could have happened, but it didn't. Especially since the movie Strong World features the main bad guy of Strong World was at one point supposed to be like a big deal in the One Piece
Hmm.
universe, and he was supposed to be introduced at the same time as Whitebeard, uh, but Oda decided that it was kind of like became too much of an info dump and decided to cut him out, so he became a movie villain like 10 years later. You know how
Yeah,
it goes. One
One
Piece.
Piece.
Something doesn't happen, it'll happen 10 years later. Trust
And least favorite arc.
me. Fishman Island. Yeah, this it's Fishman Island. Oh, Howdy Jones ruined everything for everybody.
He's like lame or long.
He really is. He's just like Fat Arlong, and he doesn't do much to advance on what Arlong had, and that's kind of his thing, which is the problem. Like his entire thing is, I like Arlong. I thought he was right.
That was really his entire thing. Oh wow.
Yes, and there's such a cool villain in that arc. And he has that guy even has a really cool devil fruit power, and he's a fishman with a devil fruit. A fishman who can't swim, something that had only previously been thought up by George for a One Piece V20 game, who did it because he was like, what if I gave my fishman the devil fruit, the snorkel fruit that allowed him to breathe underwater? Fishmen can breathe underwater. The fish. He only detrimented himself. It was amazing.
Wait, would he be fine if he fell into the ocean, or would he still feel the effects of the devil fruit?
He feels the effects of the devil fruit and he sinks, but he can breathe underwater due to the fact that he's a fishman, and B, has the devil fruit, the snorkel fruit. So that's actually part of his backstory. That at one point he tripped and fell into a large puddle filled with goldfish and was trapped there for weeks, and these goldfish bullied him. And that's also how he started off the. We rolled to see who would start the the first session, and he won the roll. So the game started by him walking out of the ocean up onto the beach, cradling my character in his arms, who at that point became his loyal follower and would do what he said regardless of how bad of an idea he knew it was. Because my guy was like a smart engineer, but his intelligence was outclassed by his loyalty for this fucking just stupid hulking fish man.
Who's
Oh, also he was a hammerhead sharkfish man, so he looked disgusting. It was amazing.
He was also looking for his son.
Oh yes, he was looking for his son.
I can't get over that. I'm sorry.
George is too close.
Even though Freddy Fishman is not in our One Piece game, kind of wish he was.
Well,
Oh
he's
yeah,
dead, and he I don't remember how he died, but you can be assured that it was his own fault.
but we have him in spirit in the form of his son Freddy. Dippy.
Oh yes,
I'm
yes.
sorry.
Well,
I'm sorry, Dippy.
But you know, canon One Piece.
Canon.
I haven't mailed Oda the results of the 2 One Piece games yet, so they can't be made canon yet. Despite the fact that I've crucially made sure to fit both games into the timeline, even if I had to retcon some stuff from the first one to make it work.
But anyway, back to actual One Piece. We
Yes.
could talk about our D20 game later. As you know, before Funimation decided to take over the reins of dubbing One Piece, the wonderful, the wonderful people at 4Kids Entertainment decided, hey, we want to take this show and dub it for children.
Yeah, it was a good idea. I'm still kind of upset that Funimation's dubbing One Piece, because oh my lord, were 4Kids doing everything in their power to make me enjoy One Piece even more. They turn Laboon, a giant whale into an iceberg. And that, as little as that is, causes problems later down in One Piece because Laboon is part of Brook's backstory. And my friend George always jokes about it, but he was like, "What happens if they got to Brook? Like they'd cut out the Laboon stuff, no problem, but he's a skeleton. Would that scare kids by their standards? Would they Photoshop skin onto him? Would they recolor him and just say he's like a bony old man I don't know. Just it's amazing they went as far as they did because they made it to like the end of Alabasta.
Mm-hmm.
And they 4 kids it up. Alabasta gets so
Yeah,
violent.
I don't know how the hell they were able to do it.
Like I guess I shouldn't get too
Oh,
spoilerific,
no, it's fine. But if you're listening to this podcast, there might be accidental spoilers.
oh yeah, thank God we that got mentioned. Yeah, woo. Fist through chest, heartwarming moments. 3 cups of sake. But yeah, so Luffy's like covered in blood whenever he fights Crocodile for the last time.
How do they explain it in the 4 Kids dub? Because I never seen it.
I've never seen that far into the 4 Kids dub. I've seen the first 40 episodes or so of 4 Kids dub, or however long it took him to get to Logtown, and then I've seen choice episodes, meaning just what I accidentally caught on TV, of up to Alabasta. One of them being the crocodile fight, but I don't remember. It's been so long.
One of my favorite things. I haven't seen a whole bunch of the 4 Kids stuff, but I know a few things, like how they stuff with Nami's backstory.
Oh yeah, Nami's backstory is probably the most infamous thing that 4 Kids did. Where in Nami's backstory, Nami's motherly figure fights back against Arlong's invasion, which becomes an impressive reign. And she's shot and killed by Arlong. But in the 4 Kids version, they change it to him they because they do it with silhouettes when they shoot her in the
Mm-hmm.
anime. They get rid of I keep wanting to say Photoshop, but it's clearly not Photoshop. But you know what I mean. They Photoshop out the gun out of his hand, so he's pointing at her, and then he's like, "Throw this one in the dungeon." And then it's mentioned a few times that she's in the dungeon, but then they finish the arc and they never let her out of the dungeon. In fact, I think Nami even visits her grave. I mean, I can't remember that, but I know she does visit her grave, and for some reason I have a strong inkling that she does visit her grave afterwards. It's like they killed her off, but they did it without killing her on screen. You can give people Disney deaths, but you can't give them shot through the heart.
Right.
You're to blame.
You give.
Hey Nathan.
Yes.
You give.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, sorry, you're a good friend.
Thank you.
I mean, I wouldn't have to say that if you would have just let me give you a monkey grip
No.
foot job whenever we met it. Oh,
No, no.
Okay.
That won't be necessary.
So do you have any questions about One Piece that you'd like answered? That are within the realm of me not spoiling the show for you?
Well, you've kind of spoiled a lot of things about the show.
Yeah.
But then again, I really wasn't that interested in One Piece, so you're like, oh well.
Yeah, see, I don't like to spoil One Piece for people, but it's you want to talk about it. So it's hey, do you care? And a lot of people are like, nah, I'll never watch it. And I'll be like, okay, I'll take you at your word at that. It's just so hard because it's such a big part of my life, unfortunately.
Right.
And I mean unfortunately because it's I have no friends, but I have
Thanks.
this amazing, you know what I mean. Yeah, but I have One Piece in my life, so it's like I found Jesus, but better.
You found Pirate Jesus?
Mm-hmm. Buggy the Giant.
I thought it would be Go Roger since he's dead.
Please, he's dead. Buggy's not. Buggy's the real Buggy. Gold D. Roger was the pirate king, Buggy's the pirate god. Clown Star Buggy. Oh my god, Buggy.
Answer this: does Buggy actually become stronger?
As of where I am, I don't know, but I can tell you when he shows up later in the show, no, not at all. But that's actually a an unknown point at the moment because he hasn't been seen post time
Hmm.
skip. And some people are like, what if he got really strong? And it's gonna be like Buggy comes back and he's like freaking ripped. And then there's also just he's still Buggy. People don't know. It being Oda, he's probably still gonna be Buggy, but it also being Oda, I can never freaking predict what he's going to do. Like he'll set things up and I'll be like, "Oh man, this is gonna happen," and then it doesn't. And usually I'm very impressed because what he thought of was better. There's only been like one time where I was like, "Man, this should have happened." Well, there's probably been more times, but most of them are like joking. And there was like only one time recently where I was like disappointed that what I thought didn't happen just because it was a bit more creative than what actually
Right.
happened.
Now, if you had to like try to entice somebody to watch or read One Piece, how would you do it?
Um, I Well, Brooke seems to be a good contender, seeing as how much you like Brooke, and seeing as Brooke convinced me to give it a shot after watching 40 to 50 episodes of Four Kids. So I think just a very brief, vague description of Brooke is a good way to get people to watch it. If not, because just getting on your knees and crying and telling people like, "No, I promise it gets better," doesn't seem to do the trick. As I've seen over the last 6 to 7 years of it. Let me check Thriller Bark. When was Thriller Bark airing? Um, um, yeah, like 7. Yeah, 7.
7 years.
Whatever. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? It's whatever, man. Um, I forgot what I was doing.
Uh,
Oh yes. Convincing people. Over the 7 years of like trying to convince people, I've convinced barely anyone to watch One Piece. I've convinced like you. Uh, I've convinced like maybe like 4 people to watch One Piece.
4 is better than none, though.
Maybe maybe 5. The number I can if including the people I'm probably forgetting, I could probably count it on my hands. So, like, convincing people to watch One Piece is very, very difficult because it's as long as it is. So, a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to put up with that. And it's very, very rare that people are like, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot because we're friends. Thank you.
No problem. Checks in the
Uh,
mail.
so I don't know. Oh, yeah, don't worry. So it's very hard to convince people to watch One Piece. So I think just describing some of the like things that happen later on are like if you just very vaguely describe it to them, like might just confuse them enough that they're like, well, I might have to check out what this is. Like when they steal gold from God and then run away, and then uh, a frog swimming in the sea doing the wrong kind of swim that a frog should do. Like I think he was like freestyling it. Um, hits their boat, and then they chase after it, and then they find a train that runs on the sea because they built special tracks that runs on the sea, and then an awful storm happens, and then I want to live, and then he becomes a goddamned leopard. I don't know. Convincing people to watch One Piece is hard. Convincing them to read it is even harder. Out of all the people I've convinced to intake One Piece in some way, um, some of them tried the manga and then put it down. I've only had one friend who read the manga from start to finish, and he doesn't even like One Piece, but that's also because he's weird. Like he likes it, but he's a huge Hunter x Hunter fan, and so he just can't get over that it's not Hunter x
Okay.
Hunter. Which is funny because per his recommendation, I watched Hunter x Hunter, and I really like Hunter x Hunter now, but it'll never be One Piece. Hunter x Hunter is also good. Watch the new anime. JoJo's also really good. Watch the new anime. They're reading manga.
Is there a good starting point, like to watch One Piece, or is it usually recommended to start from the beginning?
I would recommend to start from the beginning, but to convince people, I have had them start at the beginning of the Baroque Works saga. So just kind of describe to them what happened in East Blue. Like I know it's kind of heinous because you skip a lot of like what happens in East Blue, but East Blue's a bit slow, so it's kind of hard to convince people. So it's better off sometimes to start people in the beginning of Baroque Works because a lot of people know about One Piece characters, so they can kind of go into it like, okay, these are their characters. But that's usually better if you can at least like convince them that if they get hooked, that they should go back and watch East Blue because a lot of important things happen in East Blue. But East Blue is a bit harder to watch for some
With
people.
the exception of Arlong Park.
Oh, Arlong Park's so
It
good.
is really good.
And yeah, it's just it starts off kind of slow, but it builds up. A lot of important things happen, which is the problem. Like you learn about people's characters, and their characters grow a lot, especially Zoro's in the Barati arc. A lot of stuff happens to him. A lot of stuff always happens to Zoro. Poor man. Like he doesn't exist, but if he did, he would probably be like just slabs of meat strewn across the ground, like a bloody man. Oh my lord. He takes a beating, man.
And he almost cut his own fucking feet off.
Oh yeah, that was great. I love too that he was just like nonchalantly like, "Hey, we're stuck. I'm gonna cut my feet off." And then Nami's like, "No, that's stupid." And they're trying to think of a way out. And then like stuff happens. And then Zoro's like, "Oh, good, we're saved." And he sheathes his sword. And Nami looks down, and he's been cutting away at his feet. And Nami's like, "Oh my lord, are you gonna be okay? Your feet?" He's like, "Yeah, whatever. It'll be fine." And they didn't have a doctor on the crew at that point. So they like just stitched it up and then gave him a thumbs up and he was fine. They didn't have a doctor at that point and he had cut to the bone.
Yeah, Zero's fun.
Yeah, he's fine. I like whenever Zoro like takes his shirt off because his man bits make me question my sexuality, but also just because he's covered in scars and stitches everywhere. It's like incredible. And it's like they weren't like always there. It's not like he's just, like randomly scarred. He's acquired them over the course of the series. So it's like fun because he'll take it off. You're like, oh, I remember when he got that one. It's like you're sharing fun redneck stories, but you're talking about an anime character.
Uh, going backtracking a little bit, talked about 4 Kids and mentioned Funimation a little, and that's what I've been watching of One Piece has been the Funimation dub.
Oh,
Yeah,
really? Yeah, they do a good job. I don't like some of the voices they have, but overall I think they've done an excellent
that's
job.
actually what I was going to ask
Um
you, like your opinions on like the choice of cast and like for the Straw Hats and how they sounded.
like I'm not an expert on voice acting or anything. So I can't really say like, oh, this guy's great or this guy's great. But generally, I think they've done a really good job casting the Straw Hats with a few exceptions. Like I don't like Luffy's voice, but I tend to not be a fan of the girl doing a guy voice. Like that tends to work in Japanese because their voices are
Hmm.
different, or maybe it's just because I don't understand the language, so it works for me. Who knows? Apparently, it didn't work with Dragon Ball Z's Japanese version because they just have an old lady screaming as Goku. I don't know. I didn't watch Dragon Ball Z in Japanese. I didn't watch Dragon Ball Z in English. I watched Dragon Ball in English. That's not important. I'm not a fan of Luffy's actor. Well, I can't say I'm not a fan of her the voice actress. I'm not a fan of the voice in
Hmm.
particular, just because it doesn't work for me. I just wish they had kind of gotten like a young guy to do it. I'm not a fan of Sanji's voice, just because it feels just like a voice, not like a voice for the character. Like as dumb as it sounds, like the like 4 Kids like, "Hey, I'm Sanji." Like that doesn't work at all. But like it had like some kind of stupid like personality
Hmm.
behind it. Like Sanji's voice just doesn't have any personality behind it for me. So it just feels like they pick someone at random to voice him for me. Not that it's like, not that the voice is terrible or anything. I'm not enraged by it. I don't dislike it as much as I like Luffy's voice, but it just feels like a voice at random to me. Um, and I very much so dislike, even more than Luffy's voice, is Frankie's voice in the English
Hmm.
dub. Just because it doesn't fit Frankie at all. It fits Frankie aesthetically because it's kind of like a hey, I'm a cool guy, 50s rocker type
Yeah.
voice, which aesthetically would fit Frankie, but Frankie's really weird. In the Japanese version, he has this really like high pitched nasally
Yeah,
voice,
I've heard. And
and it's really great.
and he says "supa" a lot.
Yeah, and just I don't think the American version, like I don't think Funimation conveyed that weirdness of Frankie very well, and him being my favorite upsets me. It's tush troubled me to PG-fy it. But aside from that, I think they did a really good job. Brooke got a great voice actor. It fits him really well. Zoro's voice fits really well, like stupidly well. The cutesy thing they do for Chopper works. A lady voices Nami. Applause all around. I can't. I'm having a hard time thinking of Robin, but I don't remember being offended by Robin's voice. I remember jerking it several times. Oh. Oh, and Usopp. Usopp's voice actor. I have to give him a huge hand because Usopp's voice actor does a really good job, and his favorite voice actor is the guy who does Usopp's voice in Japanese, and it really shows because he hits like a lot of like the little mannerisms uh, that the Japanese actor
Mhm.
does like really well, which is I guess as an actor you would say like, oh well, he's just copying, but he does like a really good job like doing Usopp because he doesn't always like do the same things that the Japanese guy. He does a good job with Usopp because he respects Usopp and Usopp's Japanese. I'm sorry, Usopp's Seiyu, as you would pronounce it if you were full Nippon blood.
Alright, not gonna lie,
Yeah.
I might have to cut that last part out. I
What?
may need to cut that last bit out. Not sure though.
Nippon? The Japanese call their own self Nippon. I guess that's Nipponese, right? That's not offensive. Maybe. You be the judge. I'm the one who said it. Question mark? Oh, if you want to send me hate mail, you can message me at www.twitter.com. Just go there and type a message. It'll get to me, I promise.
Actually, is a Brooks laugh in the English sub fairly accurate to the Japanese one? I haven't.
Very much so,
Okay,
yes.
I have yet to hear Japanese Brook.
It's just strong, hearty, but friendly and very flamboyant. Yo ho ho. Ho ho. It's very good. I was very happy with the voice actor, how he did it.
All right. Well, we're getting near the end, but not before. I want to talk for a few minutes at least about our One Piece One Piece game.
Yes.
To all of y'all listening,
We're
we're
nerds.
we're huge nerds, and us along with two of our other friends have been playing a tabletop D&D style game based in the One Piece universe.
Yeah, it's already not bad enough that we're doing D&D. It's D&D set in an anime universe. Applause all around for our sex lives.
But I do have to say, we have done Pathfinder sessions in the past before, and
Yeah, yeah. To give us some credibility, we played other nerd games.
but I think this is the most fun that I've had with a tabletop game.
Just because One Piece
One
is
Piece
fun.
is a lot of fun, and a lot of and like the settings are fun. The characters that we have are pretty silly in their own right. In this game, my character is named Jägermeister, who is an alcoholic chef
Swordsman.
and is a swordsman.
Alcoholic Chef Swordsman. Yeah. And that's not important.
It's like Sanji and Zoro combined, but like more drunk.
Yes. Way more drunk. And we go to like new places that we think up, not just canon locations, but we have been to canon locations and fought canon enemies like Jägermeister, outdrank Buggy the Clown.
That's going to be the highlight of this game. I don't care if we like beat up CP9 who may or may not exist.
No, yeah, they're why would only CP1 through CP8 exist? There's no CP9 or CP0. They don't exist. Those are rumors. Shut up. I don't know where you heard them.
I don't care if we like do that or if we like fucking beat up any of the other warlords or whatever. Out drinking Buggy the Clown.
And that was a total accident too. I didn't once you guys. Well, it's not so much I didn't want, but I didn't plan for that. It's just like one of the other characters, Terrence, who is a bounty hunter with the bear fruit. He was dead set on hunting down bounties while we were in Logtown, preparing to go to the Grand Line, and he just kept hunting down people, and he accidentally discovered Buggy, who was at that point waiting for Luffy to show up. And then he was gonna die, but people showed up, and then Jägermeister. Oh, it was amazing. Because I'm DMing the game, and I've been trying to keep it in time with the actual series. So as long as while our adventure's going on, I'm keeping track of where the Luffy and the Straw Hats are.
Where would they be at this point? Like where we are in our game?
At this point where we are in our game, I think they're doing the Davy back fight.
Okay.
Although I can't, I'm not sure exactly. I'd have to look at the thing because we just finished a thing, so that might be a bit behind. It was fun though because right as we went to a Sky Island, they were actually going to Skypiea. So that was fun.
Still can't believe he made me fight a puke man.
Oh yeah, he fought the Puke Logia. Even though I'm not sure that a Puke Logia would actually exist because Logias are supposed to be of nature, but puke's natural. Also, I just really wanted a puke fruit because I find puke way funnier than it should be. Like, it's like, farts, okay, whatever. I'll laugh at a fart joke sometimes, even though it's really lowbrow. I'll even make lots of fart jokes. I'll even, like, fart on my roommate. But puke's like the king of slapstick humor for me. Just, I never don't laugh at just somebody puking at an inopportune moment. So I just wanted a puke fruit, and so I put it on the list of possible devil fruit to show up, and it showed up, and I was so happy. I never got to hit anybody with one of his puke streams though, but he fired it off, and everybody got out of the way, and it splashed into an audience, and everybody cringed as I described the puke corroding away at the people that it had hit. Good
Thank
times.
God none of that hit us.
Yeah, it was just corrosive damage. It's like being splashed by a stream of light acid.
It still hurts. It's acid, and it would be gross because it's puke.
It's only puke. Come on, man up.
Like I've puked on myself various times for various reasons. But like if it's somebody else's puke, then it's fucking gross as shit.
The thing is, I find my puke just as disgusting as I find other people's puke. But I'm kind of a neat freak, so.
Oh yeah.
What else? It's like I throw up and I'm like, oh, I just threw up. I just threw up. Then I throw up again.
And then you threw up again because you just threw up again from your previous throw up.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, but anyway, what has been your favorite moment in this game so far?
Favorite moment in this game. Let me actually open up to see where we've gone because there's been like a lot of brilliant moments. Like I think, like you out drinking Buggy the Clown was amazing because you found Buggy the Clown in a bar and it devolved into a bar fight. But then, right as it became like everyone had been whittled down. Some of our crew had left. A bunch of Buggy's crew had been defeated, and one of them like just face palmed and like walked out because Alvita wanted nothing to do with that. It came down to Jägermeister, Terrence, and Buggy the Clown, who was holding a buggy bomb, threatening to blow everyone up, and Jägermeister just was like, "I challenge you to a drink-off." Oh, and Jägermeister did not fight the entire time. He was just hitting people with liquor bottles.
One person
Like
over and over.
oh yeah, he hit. I think you started off by hitting the lion who was pretending to be dead, and then you started hitting the lion's tamer who was mourning the death of his lion. That was amazing. Let's see.
Didn't
Uh,
everybody in Buggy's crew die aside from Buggy, Alvita, and Kaji, or whatever his name is?
I don't think. I don't think they. Oh yeah, they died because we left their corp. Yeah. Oh, whoops. Yeah, we left their bodies there, and then the buggy ball went off.
Blew up
Whoops.
that dude's bar.
I didn't want to interfere with canon stuff, but I think that's the most you've interfered with canon stuff.
He fucking
You killed the majority of Buggy's crew.
and sent Buggy and Kaji to jail.
To be fair, Buggy was going to end up in
Oh
jail
yeah, that's
anyways.
true. But he just ended up in jail because of us, and thank God we didn't meet up with Smoker.
Oh yeah, that means that Buggy's execution scene never happened, which causes problems later down in One Piece. In fact, I because of that, I don't know if Smoker would want to chase Luffy because I think that was what convinced him to chase
Nah, I'll be
Luffy.
fine.
Okay, whatever.
You could say like Luffy stole one of Smoker's good cigars or whatever.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know. Like, there's been a lot of good moments in our game. There's a storm brewing just off the shore. There's a big session coming up. That's the result of everything that has been done up until this point, and I'm really looking forward to that. Um, because everything has an effect on the world, and this is your big footprint on the world.
Really? This is gonna be our big footprint on the world?
Well, that's probably not the best way to say it. This is you've been going around and kicking down sandcastles, and now all the sandcastles builders are kind of coming
Oh
together.
shit.
That's probably not a fair. Everything you've done will be relevant in this session.
Like this.
Every not the next session,
Okay.
but
And the session.
probably the session, and that session's actually probably the session
Oh
after
fuck.
next.
We're play.
Yeah, but every session has some effect on this big session. Characters, events, people and characters are the same. My bad. Oops. I don't know. It's been a lot of fun to plan out because getting to plan something in the One Piece universe. Excuse me, and it's fun because we're not going to like. Since we left the East Blue, we haven't really been to any canon locations. We've just been kind of going down our own way on the Grand Line. And it's been really cool. Get to come up with things and stuff.
Not going to lie. It would be pretty funny if we went to like a couple canon locations before the Straw Hats. And then I
You
just become bros with the main villains.
you might get to Sabandy before they do. Sabady, I always pronounce the N in there because of old translations. Yeah, you might get to Sabady before them. So you could go visit like stuff around there before they do. You'll get to the New World before them unless you also decide to take a 2-year time skip. That is if you guys make it to the New World.
Oh, what do I have a bad feeling about that?
So far, my favorite devil fruit was the recursion fruit, though. That the non-existent devil fruit that wasn't like already on the list that we've rolled, just because that's really fun for
Wait,
me.
which one?
The recursion fruit, the one that Lovelace had.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
We had a bad guy who had the ability of recursion, so she could like define something happening. Well, she wouldn't define something happening. She would set up a definition, and then for a certain amount of time until she ended the definition, then could, if people failed a will save within a set area, could like loop them. Like there was one point where she made a reoccurring hallway, and Jägermeister didn't notice, but Rosemary, who's our doctor gunslinging Amazonian babe.
And Captain.
She and Captain. so they went to a hallway and they went down the hallway, opened the door, saw the bad guys there, closed the door, and then ran out a different way. And Jägermeister made it through fine. But as Rosemary went through the thing, she disappeared and then appeared out the door that they originally entered the hallway through, and then kept looping the like events and saying what she said until like I think you and her together like stopped it somehow. Like you went and like grabbed her and she like made a will
Yeah, yeah.
save. The shame was like I was really enjoying the recursion fruit, but we ended up playing really late, and I think it was like freaking like 5 a.m. or something when we got to it. When we got to like the actual like
Yeah,
fights,
yeah.
and you guys were fighting, and it was 5 a.m. so my brain wasn't working, and I had used the recursion fruit on like our tanky brawler type guy, and I was like, haha, he's out of the equation. Time to split up the crew and divide and conquer. And I wasn't using my brain because it was 5 a.m. And he made the will save. But she had crit her like will save to like make this thing. So he wasn't able to. He crit his will save, but she crit hers. So he was able to move around because he still hadn't like broken hers. He had just kind of nullified her crit. Just because his will save was really low. So he was able to move around in this recurring world, but was like out of his own like loop because he was stuck in a like constant loop of what was going on. And he just kind of walked over to where she was and then beat the shit out of it. But unfortunately, I had not moved her because I was busy controlling like 5 other characters. It was 5 a.m. And then as soon as he crit his will save, I realized I had fucked up. And I was like, oh my god, I had not moved her. So he walked over and beat the crap out of where she was like 5 turns ago, and she was still standing there like a moron. So it was a shame because that fruit was entirely like conceptual, and I really enjoyed it.
And
But she's dead
oh
now,
yeah,
so
she's super
whatever.
dead. And not only was it like at 5 in the morning, we had been playing at that point for like 12 hours.
Oh yeah, because it was like Friday night and we were like partying because Andrew WK says that role playing games can constitute as party. So you know.
Is that a actual thing he said?
Oh yeah, on
Oh
Twitter, it's
shit!
great. He has a really good Twitter.
Follow Andrew WK on Twitter.
Yeah, hell yeah, you should.
All right. How about listing like a couple more, like listing like your a couple more memorable moments of the game that you liked, and I'll do the same.
Um, when I seduced the Amazonian babe and then handcuffed her to a bed and left a grenade on her stomach. That was fun.
And not only that,
Oh, he was gonna cut off her. He was gonna blow her up, and then find her hands and then keep her hands for a collection. Yeah, you know,
Jesus,
totally not the villain from part 4 of JoJo's or anything. Shifty
I've
ass.
never seen JoJo, so it would have went past me.
What was one of your memorable moments of our D20 game?
Oh God! Aside from out drinking Buggy the Clown,
Hmm.
I had to think.
Oh, I enjoyed when you became best friends with one of the main
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
antagonists.
yeah.
That was fun. There was like a big party, and you guys were just kind of
Just
mingling with people. And at the bar, you met one of the main antagonists, and he took him back to the ship so they could get like some real good alcohol, and they like drank together as
and the
bros.
funny part about that is that I became like friends with him quicker than I did with the rest of the crew.
Yeah, yeah, like
Yeah,
kindred
yeah.
spirits and all. Yeah.
Memorable moments. That. Uh, attempting and failing horribly to hit on Terrence's mom.
Oh yeah, he tried to hit on one of the brawler character's mom, and her response was she gonning him in the stomach, which is like shooting somebody with your finger.
In a way, I got finger blasted.
Yeah, he got finger banged. One finger though,
Yeah.
Just gotta start you off light. We'll move you up to 2 fingers and fisting later.
Oh god. Um, Fat Shaming Biscuit is always funny.
Oh yeah, I play 2 characters, which is funny because I didn't want to play a character on the crew at first, but then they were like, "Oh, we only have 3 people. We need more people on the crew." So I was like, "Fine, I'll play a character." And then I made a scientist character, and then scientists get minions. So I built my minion, who's totally not just Biscuit from Hunter x Hunter or anything, Shifty Eyes. And then as I was building her, I was like, "Damn, we still need a navigator." Well, I guess I'll just make my minion an actual character. I'm the DM. Who gives a shit? Um, So now I play two characters. They're both little kids, and she's a little girl, and she's like buff and stuff. And at one point, she ate a ton of food, and they started fat shaming her, and it's upsetting. She's a buff little girl. She's disgusting because she's buff, but they fat shame her. I'm so
Because
confused.
of that one moment.
So she ate like friggin' 15 pounds of food because it was free. Because she's like she's like Fem Wario kind of.
Oh, another
Yeah.
moment.
Hmm?
Hashtag Grand Theft Dog.
Oh yeah, that was a really good
It
session, wasn't
really
it?
was. Even though that was supposed to be like shit for Ye's backstory being all depressed and shit, but that session went really well.
Yeah. The person with the recursion fruit was well, not pretending. They had won like a election and they were mayor, and they had because they were a scientist, they had gotten a bunch of other scientists together and built like a Groundhog Day machine and was using the recursion fruit to loop the same day over and over again, which was her first day as mayor. So like they were having like the electoral party and like the like opening speech of like her mayor. So she was looping her first day of mayor over and over again for the last 15 years. And they had managed this with like strict laws on vacationing. I forgot the actual word. Oh, the board of tourism guy was like really important and like making sure that people did not stay an entire day.
Was that the Sit
Um,
Sit Man? Okay.
yes, he had the soot fruit and could like it was a paramecia and he could like produce suit and he used it to try and bluff people into thinking he had hockey, but then no one on the crew knew what hockey was, so his intimidate like went down the drain. He was like, look at me, I have mastered armament hockey, and everyone's like, okay, cool, what is it? So his bluff just went down the drain.
God, that was funny.
And they had both Jägermeister and the Amazonian babe, Rosemary, as her name actually is, had been seduced into going back to the mayor's house. Rosemary with the assistant mayor or whatever. I don't remember what his actual title was. He was like second in command, and Jägermeister had been seduced by the mayor herself, and they had both gotten captured through ridiculous means. She had caught Jägermeister in a loop of infinitely cooking because he was like cooking to impress her or something, and then he got trapped in a cold storage. She got handcuffed to a bed with a grenade in her stomach, and they had managed to escape that somehow. Jägermeister's amazing adventure through climbing through the like air conditioning or the like cooling vent of the thing, and he used his invincible flask to beat open the fan blades, bringing in cool air, and had like made his fortitude save because he's really good at his fortitude because he drinks a lot. um, so he's a fortuitous
Iron
individual.
Liver.
Was able to make it. Yeah, Iron Liver was able to make it through a cold like the duct that brings in the cold air for cold storage, and had beat out any fans that he came across with his flask, which an engineer had made to make it an infinite hammer space for his alcohol, which is funny because he's not terribly strong. He's more dex based. So he, at one point, filled it with like 80 gallons of beer and could not pick it up because it's designed to hold infinite volume, but it still increases in
I had
weight.
completely forgot about that. Like, I had just assumed that it was just weighs as much as a flask when Zippa made it, but no.
Yeah, we had to get someone else to carry his flask for him. So it's a tiny flask, but it weighed hundreds of pounds. But at that point, it had nothing in it. He was just using it because there's like standard. It did as much as he would punch because he's not a brawler. Because that's how D20 games work. Whatever.
That was my favorite part, by the way, just hitting people with said flask.
Yeah, and he went on a rampage with his flask because his swords had gotten taken away from him. And him and Rosemary escaped. And when they escaped, they made it out into the backyard and they stole the mayor's dog. So here they were running through this town trying to get back to the ship, and frickin' Jägermeister was carrying this dog, and that's the picture that's now used on his wanted poster because prior to that they had only recently they had been like within the law and had only recently become like pirates. because they were bounty hunters for a long time, and then they eventually finally killed some Marines. Took them fucking long enough because they wanted to operate within the law, but then they finally met their first corrupt Marine, and they slaughtered an entire branch of Marines.
Well, but according
Just,
to Terrence, I had nothing to do with that.
oh yeah, our captain bluffed our brawler into believing that Jägermeister had nothing to do with it.
Even though I toasted.
Yeah, even though he totes did. But yeah, so his wanted poster is just him running down the streets of this town, holding a stolen dog under one arm and drinking from his flask with the other. And he's 200 proof Jägermeister. I was really happy with some of the epithets that you guys got, which I will now read.
Along with the list of offenses.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
We have Rosemary Killer Queen Nightingale. And her crimes are a slaughter of an entire Marine branch. She's the leader of. She's both the captain and the leader of a tribe of Herculeans, which are like Melkujas, because lol, I'm the DM, whatever. Armed assault and multiple accounts of dismemberment, because she cut off the guy who wanted to cut off. She cut off the dude's hands that wanted to cut off her hands, and she also that same session accidentally shot a Marine's arm off with a revolver.
I remember.
Oh, she has the gun fruit and can morph into guns and stuff.
Didn't Yoshi go crazy because of that?
Yeah, he went insane because he had a hand fetish, because he's totally not just Kira Yoshikaga or whatever his name is from Judges Part 4, Shifty Eyes. But his own hands were gone and he went insane. And they couldn't get any good information out of him. We have our brawler. And they don't have our brawler's actual name because they've only ever seen him as a bear. So he's Sir Barrington the Furious. And he's just wanted for murder, unarmed assault, and destruction of private property now. Because he broke a Marine's club. He wanted to snap it over his knee, and he crit on his check to do it. So he snapped it over his knee, and it just burst into sawdust.
That was fucking great.
Yeah. And then Jägermeister has the best one. He has 200 proof Jägermeister, and his crimes are multiple accounts of public intoxication, alcoholic beverage container related assault, and hashtag Grand Theft Dog. Just because the hashtag needs to be in there, man. And there's the kids, but who gives a shit?
And the greatest part about that is in the latest island that we were in, I was treated like a fucking hero in the local bar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's now a crew of pirates who worship him and want to make him their captain, the Chugga-Lug Thug Pirates. Out looking for their god, 200 proof Jägermeister.
God, I'm so upset that day left before we got to that island.
Hey, maybe you'll see him soon.
Shabadoobie Archipelago.
Bubble Island.
I'm sorry.
I think we've talked more about the DCA game than actual.
Oh no, we've talked about actual One Piece for 50 minutes. Yeah.
Oh really?
But
wow. Cool.
As much as I want to keep going and just turn this into a 2-hour or 3-hour thing, I think we should end it here for time's sake.
Oh yes, also because people they're probably like, man, I hate that guy who told me to go to twitter.com. There's nothing here but bullshit. I say as I go to check my Twitter.
And thank you all for listening for the first installment of this currently unnamed segment. If you have any ideas or any criticisms of what else we could do, what could change, feel free to leave them in the comments below on YouTube. And follow my friend Zach here on Twitter at twitter.com.
No, don't. I'm under 100 and it's awesome. I don't want to get too many followers, and I'll have to start making responsible tweets.
But just go to twitter.com and you'll find it.
Yeah, just go to twitter.com and hit the follow button. It's good enough, I promise.
And subscribe to me on YouTube. Subscribe to the Nathan Graves Show on iTunes. And follow me on Twitter at NathanGraves989 so that you can find out who the next guest is going to be on the Nathan Graves Show.
It's going to be me again.
Yeah.
I'm the only person who's going to be interviewed from now on.
I'm just going to have you on like every other week, and we're just gonna talk about like other random bullshit.
Yeah, we'll just update you guys on the most recent session of the game,
Um,
and or talk about Fire Emblem Babes.
that would actually be a really fun thing to do. Just like have a show where we just talk about the D20 sessions.
Only problem is like we're pretty far in, and there's like some like stupid backstory to it, so it would need like a bit of a setup if we were ever
Well,
going to
hey,
do
it's
that.
just like East Blue starts off slow, but then it gets really good.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you all for listening. Thank thank you, Zach, once again for joining me and just talking random bullshit for an hour.
Man, it's no problem. I have nothing to do. I don't have a life.
And until next time, this is Nathan Graves 989 signing off.